Yo, I want to tell you how to quiet quit like a boss. I myself have worked at many banks for over 10 years, companies such as Goldman's, Morgan Stanley, HSBC. And at one of the companies I have worked for, I have used a quiet quitting strategy. Now, quiet quitting involves essentially putting in less effort in at work until you're allowed to essentially leave the company. Maybe you find another job, or they fire you, they give you a layoff with a payment package, a few months' pay to leave the company. So it's a very kind of sly, cunning, underhanded tactic that you can use if you really don't like your current employer. So here's a funny story we're going to start with, and then we're going to go through some key strategies that you can use if you want to quiet quit, put in less effort at work, till they lay you off, you get paid to leave essentially, right?
I was like, fuck it, I'm just not going to do any work. I get hired in July. They train me for August. September rolls around. I'm just not really going to do shit. I'm going to fucking work on comedy. I'm on Facebook Messenger. I'm going to write jokes. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking I'll get like a month, 2 months out of this. They don't fire me for fucking 8 months. And I'm just in there like my boss would walk by and I would hit the fucking mouse and my login screen would show up. I wasn't even logged into the computer to fake work. And I was like, I can't, I'm just taking 2-hour lunches. I'm pushing it at this point. And I'm just like, how the fuck is this still happening? And
the funny thing about this is you can get away with quiet quitting, putting less effort in at work for a long time, right? You can be at work and kind of chit chat with co-workers, because work for many people in the office has just become a social day out. It's daycare for adults. Lots of people chit chatting, gossiping, talking about TV shows, doing a little bit of work, sending a few emails, writing a few reports, but not really doing too much work, just playing the social game, the office politics game at work. And you'd be surprised how long you can get away with that before it starts getting logged as a performance issue and your manager starts hounding you about it, right? So this is a funny example, and he's going to finish the story in a moment about this. So it's definitely a strategy I consider you use if you really don't like where you work and you don't mind if they do fire you because you've got other options you're currently working on. So let's listen to the rest of the story.
and they're like, okay, so we want to talk. My boss would be like, hey, do you want to like do some work? He's like, everyone loved me because I'm not doing work. I'm hanging around like, Linda, what's up? How's the baby? I'm the king of the office, dude. Right. I'm just having a good ass time. And everyone loved me. She didn't, and I was doing good for I think I was moving women's issues forward because I was the shittiest employee and I was the only man.
So this is very interesting because what type of strategies can you use when you do want to quiet quit? And one of the key strategies you can use is essentially, as it says, putting in less effort and being the king of the office. So you are seen as a valuable team member, even if you're doing less work. You become the king of the office, which means the king of socializing at work. You be popular, you be friendly, you understand the feminized workplace where it's all about high school social dynamics and who's popular, who's friendly, who do people like, who do they want to chit chat with. And in that is a way of securing your job, right? That will help with your job security, if you like, while you're quiet quitting. You're just seen as a friendly co-worker. Everyone likes you. No one's going to give you negative feedback on your performance review or negative feedback to your manager because you're seen as a popular, friendly guy that everyone kind of likes. So that's an important consideration to make. So that's tip number one. Be very social at work if you are considering quiet quitting. If you're going to quiet quit and put in less effort at work, don't go to work and come across like some kind of unhappy, depressed person who doesn't want to work for their current employer. Just give the impression that you're kind of there to do your work, even if you're not really doing it, but just to be a friendly face in the office at least, so people don't really isolate you and see you as too negative.
Now remember, I would get up out of my little cubicle, walk down to the break room to get a coffee. And as I walked to the break room, I'd have to go through probably 8 or 9 rows of these people. And you'd end up seeing people's screens and you just see all the way down there, it'd be people scrolling through Facebook, reading a blog about their favorite sports team, watching YouTube. Sometimes I'd hear coworkers in the cubicle next to me on the phone. They'd be talking to credit card companies or booking their next vacation or whatever. Bottom line, it always blew me away at how many people in the office were just sort of killing time most of the day, not really being too productive. I know numerous people who...
This is another key point, right? So when you're in the office and you're walking around, you will notice people aren't being very productive. You're told everyone's working so hard to meet the performance objectives of themselves and the company, but most people, and a lot of people in like middle management, senior middle management, they're just chatting away while the people who are at the lower levels are doing all the hard work, right? And you will notice this, and I encourage you to do this while you're in the office, is take a walk around the office, not in an obvious way, but just in a way like you're walking to the toilet, you're walking to the elevator or to the exit, and just take a look at everyone's PC, like he just mentioned he did when he was walking to the break room. you will notice that people are, shopping online on maybe Facebook if your company PC allows you to use social media. They'll typically be reading the news, chit-chatting with co-workers, and people are hardly working. And the truth is, many people can get their work done in a few hours and they spend the rest of the day just faffing about, wasting time. So I would say don't feel bad about not working. So that's tip number 3 for quiet quitters, is don't feel bad about putting in less effort. If you're at a day job, they're paying you a lot of money and you're not doing much work. Most people are not doing much work. And many of your co-workers and your managers and people around you are not doing much work. And also, if you are feeling guilty about not doing much work, realize that many people in society are getting paid multiples of your income: politicians, co-workers, journalists, public figures, celebrities. All of them are doing a lot less work than you are, and they might be getting paid millions of dollars. So don't get too caught up in any type of guilt you might feel about not putting in much work. And even on the trading floor, I've worked on major investment banks such as Goldman's, Morgan Stanley, and so on. And many people, even on trading floors where there is quite high priority for people to get a seat on the trading floor to do this super important work, they spend a lot of their time. Sometimes, obviously, they're doing some work: sales, trading, operations, finance, and risk management, and whatever their role is. But a lot of their time is kind of just burning the hours that they have to be in the office to be seen to be busy. Like I say, just wasting time doing other things. So don't feel too bad about putting in less work. And if you can't get promoted and you're looking to leave, there's all types of different options there you can consider by putting in less effort in work and looking at other options.
There's also a lot of workplaces where you can put in 4 hours of focused work in a day and you're going to be one of the top performers on the team. Guaranteed. This is an option for all jobs that get.
So he's got a good point there, right? Which is something I've said in my videos, and it's become a bit of a meme online on Twitter, is that it only takes like 4 hours of focused work to get through your day job, right? I understand not all jobs are like that. Sometimes you're dealing with something highly technical and you kind of do need to be focused there, like coding for like 8 to 10 hours a day. But many office jobs, four solid work hours and you're done. There might be 2 pointless meetings that you have a day, half an hour to an hour, and then you don't really have much work to do. And you can stretch out your work so you can do it at your own pace while giving your manager and co-workers the impression you're super busy doing so much work. But you can just work at your own pace if you're very strategic on how you present it. And that's a good point you should definitely pursue. So tip number 4, when you're doing quiet quitting, is do work at your own pace and do less work each day, but give the impression you're super busy to everyone else so they don't view you suspiciously as quiet quitting.
Problem with American culture, we attach a lot of our personal identity and meaning to the job that we have and the place that we work. I think we've all seen where you get told by the company your work is really important, you guys are changing the world, and then a couple weeks later there's a bunch of layoffs and cutbacks, people that are most valuable in the company. Let me tell you, I've worked at companies that went through massive layoffs too, so I know how stressful it is. I know how demoralizing it is. I am empathetic to all of that. But I will also say this, for those of you that are ambitious, I would say start thinking about a side business instead of putting all of your emotion and your hard work and like your personal identity.
So this is very important. A lot of us probably watching this video right now, including myself at certain points in my life, you really attach your personal identity to your work identity, right? And the company doesn't really care about you. They see you as disposable. So you shouldn't attach your personal identity at work. Your personal identity should be completely separate from work, and your personal goals should be what you're focused on. So the job is something you step out of your personal identity into your work identity to work hard to get that work done so you can meet your personal goals, maybe saving money, investing money, focused on your family or relationships or however that works. So that's why it's important, and that's why a good idea is, apart from quiet quitting, so that's tip number 5, separate your personal and your work identity. Apart from quiet quitting, a good maybe mental exercise you can consider if you're not going to do it in real life is imagine you have 2 jobs, right? You have your main job and you have a side job, maybe, food delivery services like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, things like that. Or you have a side hustle. And even if it's a side hustle you're pursuing based on the hobby and it's not generating a lot of money, once you develop like 2 main kind of income streams that you're maybe trying to develop, one on the side and one main one, it really completely changes the way you think about your work, right? And like what's your priority and what goal you're trying to achieve. Because a side income, even if it's not generating a lot of money, is really kind of changing your state of mind. Like I can pursue my passion and profit from my passion. I can really not be too attached to my work as a kind of, because the way you feel in the office sometimes, and if we're all honest, you do feel like you're kind of a work slave because they've got so much control over you. What time you come to work, what time you leave work, how many hours you work. They can kind of demand overtime and not pay you too well for that extra hours because they know how much you need the job because it's your main income source. They try to play God with you, or play like they control every aspect of your life, what opinions you're allowed to have, how you're allowed to dress, things like that. And I understand parts of that as professionalism, but if you diversify your income sources or become less attached to your work identity, you'll realize they are exerting way too much control over your life.
Decide to quiet quit, put your emotional energy and passion towards building an asset for yourself. That's what I think you should do. If you start something small like a freelancing business, you'll be putting no money at risk to start this business, and you're also going to learn a lot of business skills and create a much better situation for yourself. Quiet quitting, it might sound good, it might sound appealing for a few days, might feel good for a couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change your situation, doesn't get you any extra freedom.
So this is quite important, right? So in terms of emotional energy, it's similar to the identity point. So point number 6 is managing your emotional energy. Because you could spend your time getting frustrated about your day job. Oh, you're not getting promoted. You're working hard. They're not recognizing this hard work with higher pay. You're trying to be friendly with coworkers and maybe grow your career. It's not really helping you. It's easy to be emotionally drained by that, right? But if you've got other income sources, you're quiet quitting, which is putting in less effort at work, be more detached at work, being more emotionally detached at work, and attaching your emotions to your personal goals, health, wealth, freedom, what other goals you're pursuing, that is the way to do it, really. That is really the way to your freedom, right? And I'd highly recommend you consider that when you are quiet quitting. Now, the final point I want to make in this video, which is going to be linked to this clip we're going to look through now, is that your job is yours, right? So you can quit if you want to, right? You, of course, should have your savings or your investments or your backup income streams or your future next job planned out, lined up. But you shouldn't really be so attached to your job that you're like doing something that makes you depressed and miserable just for the sake of continuing on this kind of hamster wheel you're on, this rat race you're on, which kind of goes nowhere. So you shouldn't let your job ruin your life. Step 1 of that is putting in less effort at work, which is through quiet quitting. And step 2 is kind of finding an exit strategy and a timeline where you're like, oh, cool, I'm working this job. I'm going to set a certain date, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, 12 months from now, where by that point I would have found another job, another income source, and I will kind of maybe reward myself with better work-life balance, tighter boundaries between what you do in your personal life and how much time you've got to spend working, and when you start and leave work, things like that. So this guy's going to make a great point about maintaining those boundaries and pushing forward in a life direction that works for you.
First off, I just want to say that I feel like if you're at a job and it is sucking your soul and it is killing you, you should quit it as soon as possible, ASAP. And that means as soon as you finish watching this video, or even before you finish watching this video, getting up and quitting it, so be it. Why you're watching videos when you should be working, I don't know. But, that's on you. If it means quitting your job right now or today or putting your notice today, I say go ahead and do it. No job, I think, is worth you losing your sanity, losing your soul, losing your self-worth. If it's a job and it's really just not working for you, they're not treating you as you should be treated, if it's not fulfilling you, you should quit it. Bottom line.
So this is an important point to finish on, right? And many people are working jobs right now. They're not really happy with them. They're slugging it through day by day. Oh, well, they're making a decent salary, even though it's high tax and high inflation, and they're not really happy in their role. They're not making enough money to really live the life they want. So don't let a job make you depressed, make you have mental health issues. Really look at your exit strategy, because you only got one life to live at the end of the day. Really try to think strategically how to quiet quit. And I hope the tips I shared with you in this video are going to be very helpful for you. I offer one-on-one career coaching services to help you achieve your career goals and navigate this type of tricky corporate environment. All these type of situations I try to deal with by helping my clients through giving one-on-one coaching services. So there is a link in description if you want to speak with me directly. And thanks for watching. There are 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.